Hey guys, welcome back. Joe here from 9 to 5. We're going to be talking about the movement known as FIRE. Does it really work? Is there something better out there? Let's take a quick look at it. Quick disclosure here, guys. We're going to be talking about financial information, so use this for educational purposes only. If you decide to take something from this and apply it out there, make sure that you get some credible financial advice from someone that is a lawyer, a certified public accountant, or a financial advisor. Thank you. So what we're going to be talking about here, we're going to talk about what is the FIRE movement, what is the FIRE process, the pros and cons of FIRE. Should you put FIRE into your life, and is there something out there that is better than FIRE? So just getting into it here really quickly, guys. Financial independence, retire early is not really a new concept. My grandparents were actually people that did FIRE way back in the day before FIRE, the term FIRE was even existed. They lived well below their means. They put their money into annuities and the stock market and pension programs and savings accounts. And they retired actually kind of late in life, but they also grew up during the Depression. But they did follow this concept pretty closely, except for the retire early part. I believe that they would have retired much earlier in life if they didn't have to go through the Great Depression. The process is pretty simple for FIRE. You set up a frugal budget and you live well below your means, which means you create excess cash. So let's say that you make $5,000 a month and you live off of $3,500 of it. You create $1,500 worth of excess cash and you dump that excess cash into the markets. And you aggressively build wealth with that $1,500 a month, minus the ups and downs of life, of course. And you live off the 4% down the road when you can basically match your income that you're living off of now or your expenses. So once 4% equals $3,500 a month or more, then you can basically retire from your job. So the pros and cons of FIRE is that focusing on your value over stuff is amazing. I love it. It's something that we all need to do it. I believe in the United States that we can be extremely materialistic as a capitalist society. A lot of times it is just, man, how many more things can we go out and buy? And a lot of that is really a misconception about the United States. Is like, I don't believe too many people that I know at least are materialistic. Yeah, we all want stuff and whatever it is. And there's a lot of variety out there for us, but most of us don't go out and blow a bunch of money all the time. I think everybody could always sit down and do a little bit better at focusing on value over just buying things. That's what FIRE does. It focuses on what's really important to you. What is really important to you? What should you be focusing your time, money, and energy on? And that's going to get you the most out of life versus just picking up something out of the bargain bin at the dollar store just to get that cheap thrill for 5 seconds when you go out and you buy something for $1. And that dollar does add up. You're life focused and not trying to keep up with the Joneses. The Joneses are the stereotypical people next door that are living next to you that you have this sort of weird competition with, that people, if they get a new car, then you got to get a new car. And if they get a bigger screen TV, then you got to get a bigger screen TV. And if they refinish their basement, then you got to refinish your basement, type of thing. And what's funny is that they are the Joneses to you, but you are the Joneses to them. And it creates a vicious cycle. Like, we tend to focus on like, well, depending on how many things I have equals how well I'm actually doing in life. And that's not true at all. It just means that you have more stuff than the next person, or they have more stuff than you. FIRE keeps life focused. What is really the most important thing to you? Do you really want to splurge on a nice car? Does that have a lot of value to you? Then okay, then you buy a nicer car. Or maybe are vacations your thing? Then maybe you go on vacations and you buy maybe a late model used car type of thing. What's really important to you? Where does the money actually derive a lot of value for yourself versus, well, the Jones has got a boat, that means I need to get a boat too. It's a very, very simple concept and it's extremely trackable. Very, very simple. So if you have all of your money in the markets, which is something that I don't do, but that's kind of the FIRE movement, and just put it all into just a diversified portfolio, you can look on there and say like, okay, well, let's say that you hit $1 million in there in your stock market portfolio, and you take 4% of that and you figure out like, okay, can I live off of this 4%? per year, how close is this to my salary? Is it above it? Is it below it? How much further do I need to go before I can basically replace my income and live off of this for the rest of my life? It's upgradable. There's different things that you can do. I look at the FIRE concept as a very, very basic concept, a great foundation to start, and we'll get into that a little bit earlier. But there's always new information coming out, and there's new things to track and focus on, and you can always upgrade your FIRE potential on ways to save money, on ways to make more money. It's super low maintenance too, which I love. You don't have to be a financial guru or love finances, pretend that you care about the stock market or quarterly reports or whatever it is. Investing in a well-diversified portfolio is pretty simple because you're paying someone else to do that for you, and you don't have to put a lot of work into it. And you don't have to put a lot of work into it on a regular basis. You kind of have to adjust your portfolio every now and again and maybe get rid of something or add something in. But these funds are set up to kind of be a set it and forget it type of situation. The cons of the FIRE is that you will at some point have to make a tough decision. Now, when you're kind of going through and your what your values are versus stuff, there's some things that you can get rid of very, very quickly that just don't really matter to you. Let's say that you drink coffee and you go from, okay, well, I can go to the corner store and buy a $4 cup of coffee, or I can go and make coffee for myself, and it's about 10 cents a cup. That experience at having coffee at the coffee shop might not be too big of a deal for you. That might be something you can just get rid of immediately. But let's say that you're just like, man, I really, really, really like going out and eating out on a regular basis. And you're just like, okay, that means if I want to get rid of that, that means that I can't go out and I have to cook at home all the time. Well, cooking at home is cheaper and it probably is healthier for you too. The problem is that is going to hurt at some point where you're going to be like, actually, I'm giving up something that I really, really care about to retire early. So at some point you will hit that threshold of, this is too painful. I want to be able to keep eating out versus having to brown bag it every single day to work, or not being able to go out on the weekends and splurge on myself. So there will be that point, that pain point where you're just like, you're making really tough decisions versus it doesn't really matter. The young years are tight. And with the FIRE movement, I've noticed when I've talked to people that have done it, that have gone through it, that are on the other side of it, they went through 5, 7, 10, 15, 20 years of living extremely frugally. My grandparents did. They lived their whole lives frugally, to the extent where it was just kind of like, you guys need to buy something. The young years are tight and they're long, and that a lot of times can be tough for people to go through. And when I say years, I mean years. Like you're living on a strict freedom plan or a budget for a long period of time. It's not a week, it's not a month. This isn't like a diet where you just, go on it for a month and you can fit into those clothes and then you can go back to eating cheeseburgers all the time. Like, this is something this is a lifestyle. You're at the mercy of the markets. If the markets decide to take a 20% dive, well, guess what? You don't really have an opinion in that. That's just the way that it is. So if you were at $1 million portfolio and then you all of a sudden drop to 800,000, that's horrible. And it's based off of, everything is based off of percents on this concept. So 4% of $1 million is a heck of a lot more than 4% of 800,000. So you might be on the way to retiring, and then the markets decide to take a dive like they did in 2008. And that's what kind of happened to my dad. And he had a retirement plan in place and he was going to retire. And he said, well, worst case scenario is I have to keep working. And luckily he had a job to where he could continue to keep working. He wasn't getting downsized or laid off. But a lot of people, they don't want to be at the mercy of the markets. And unfortunately, that's something that you are giving up when you're getting the simple concept, trackable, upgradable, and low maintenance. 4% is low and tight. 4% takes a long time to get to. You have to have a big asset nest egg in there for that 4%, that little tiny bit of 4% to live off of that for the rest of your life. That can be tough to accumulate. So should I fire up my life? Should I get into the FIRE movement? And I would say, generally speaking, for most people out there, I would say yes. The basic core concepts of FIRE are great. Not a big fan of putting all of your money into the markets and having the market control of your money. I'm not a big fan of that, but I am definitely focused on value and experiences with my family over just having stuff. Keeping up with the Joneses is stupid. I've never heard anybody give me a good argument for that. Keeping up appearances, maybe, you fake it till you make it. That's what I've heard. And all those people are idiots, basically. It's your life. It's your life, and you're the one that gets to live it, and you're making your own rules for it. And why should you should be basing your life off of somebody else that you don't really know is dumb. So keeping up with the Joneses is stupid. And once the faster we get away from that, the better. Living below your means can bring a lot of peace to your life. I've lived above my means and below my means. And I tell you what, I get a lot more sleep when I live below my means. If I am eating out less and if I'm buying less things and I'm doing less experiences, yeah, it might be a little bit duller, or maybe I have FOMO a little bit, or I'm wearing clothes or shoes a little bit longer before they completely wear out. Yeah. But getting that peace every single night when I go to sleep, and I can go to sleep and not worry about, oh, my bank account's okay. When is that coming in? When is that credit card due? Should I make the minimum payment on it? Should I try to pay it off? Am I going to have enough? What if the hot water tanks in the basement breaks? Then what am I going to do? All of this bandwidth in my brain got filled up with things that didn't matter if I would have lived below my means. So is there something better out there than FIRE? Yes, absolutely, 100%. Investing, I believe, is like a set of stairs. The higher you go, the harder it is, but the view is always going to be better. So let's look at maybe the first step. And the first step would be someone that lives below their means and they suck all their excess money away in a bank account. Well, that's good. That's a good start, but you're going to get eaten up by inflation, and you're going to and there's going to be rising healthcare costs out there, and your money is going to be worth less tomorrow than it is today, and so on and so forth. So you have to really save up a lot of money just to live off of that nest egg. The higher and harder stuff isn't maybe intimidating from the outside, but once you kind of get into it and start to learn from it, maybe go to a couple of seminars, read some books, go through a couple of processes, maybe watch somebody go through the process of private lending, real estate investing, joint ventures, or get a stake into a startup, it does get a lot easier. And yes, maybe the risk is a little bit higher, but that risk a lot of times can be mitigated if you are sticking to your investment criteria, just like you do in the stock market, and you have some education. The more education you have reduces the risk that you do when you get into the higher level types of investing. So the risk might be higher, but also the reward is there too. And you have a lot more control. It's way more controllable than, say, the stock market, and it can be more complex. I want to be 100% transparent and honest here about this situation. I am 100% pro private lending, real estate investing, joint ventures, and putting money into a startup that I am not actually controlling. I'm just kind of like the backup guy, the money guy in the situation. The risk is higher, the reward is higher, and you can control a lot more than the markets. You can always take back a property if the lender isn't paying the note and they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing on it. If you have 4 shares of a company and they have a poor quarterly report, you can't go in there and just take over the company and say, okay, I'm in charge now. That's not how it works. So get the basics down, get those first couple things down where you're making more money than what you're spending, and pay off some debt, create that excess income, have an emergency fund, and then kind of get into the bigger stuff. Don't get into the bigger stuff when you're still trying to pay off credit cards and you're living above your means. So guys, what do you think about this? Mastering Financial Freedom is out there. We have this packet out there, this how-to guide to create wealth that lasts forever. I just got this done at the recording of this video. I'm really excited about it. The copyright's all done. So it is out there. Check it out on our website. Check us out on Facebook, 9to5ers, and check us out on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate it, guys. See you down the road. Thank you.